What is going on, everybody? How's everybody doing today? Welcome here today to another reaction video. A lot of you guys have been requesting for me to react to this article, and it is going to be one blockbuster trade idea for every NBA team from Bleacher Report. So I haven't reacted to a Bleacher Report, I guess, non-mock draft article in a minute. So if you guys do enjoy these, drop a like and let me know. So we can just get right into this because we got 30 different trade ideas to talk about. So going in alphabetical order, the first one we have is John Collins and Kevin Huerter to the Warriors for the second overall pick. Now, I guess if Atlanta is hesitant on paying John Collins a max contract, and they think Anthony Edwards is legit. I wouldn't obviously trade up to take LaMelo Ball. I think his fit with Trae Young would just be horrendous. But if you like Anthony Edwards that much, boy, that is a lot. But you get to keep the 6th pick from this trade, and then maybe you take Obi Toppin if you like Obi Toppin as well to replace John Collins. I mean, I guess that is something, and you could basically just end up trading Collins and Huerter and end up with Toppin and Edwards. I just don't know if Golden State would probably want to do that because Collins could shoot, and he's an okay shot blocker as well to play at the 5. But I don't know if I don't think Atlanta. I think they want to keep Collins and Huerter and draft somebody at 6 for their core. They wouldn't make a splash move by that, but it's not the craziest trade in the world. I'm sure we're gonna see a lot less realistic trades in this, but this one isn't that bad. So we'll keep going. Boston, we have Gordon Hayward to the Pacers for Miles Turner, Jeremy Lamb, and Aaron Holiday. Whoa, I thought that the Celtics would have to give up more if they wanted Miles Turner. Not get a good young point guard and a scoring wing off the bench. What? Okay, Gordon Hayward is probably going to opt into his $34 million player option, but he's an expiring contract at what, 30, 31 years old? Miles Turner is still 23 on a solid contract as well, making what, 18 mil for the next 2 years, I think. I don't know. I just think you getting an expiring player in Gordon Hayward, yeah, he would help out your team. I would maybe say a little bit more than Turner, but to also give up 2 other assets for somebody that's 7 years older than Miles Turner, or I would say 7, I would say maybe Gordon Hayward was drafted in 2010. Turner was drafted in 2015. I think Gordon Hayward might have been a sophomore. I don't know. Okay, we'll say he's at least 5 years older, right? 5, 6 years older. I just don't think you would have to give up assets. I think this would be a great trade for Boston. I think this would be a horrible trade for Indiana. Unless it was basically Gordon Hayward and a first-round pick for Miles Turner, I could get that, like maybe the Memphis first-round pick in this draft, just because Turner is younger. I would say he's more valuable. Yeah, you maybe want a playmaking wing over just kind of a rim-protecting center who can somewhat shoot threes, but still, I think this is a bad trade for Indiana. Moving on to Brooklyn, Karis LeVert, Jared Allen, and Nicholas Claxton to the Pelicans for Drew Holiday. Honestly, I do like this trade. Now, I would think maybe the Nets would prefer doing like Karis LeVert, Musa, Karooks, Claxton in like a first than giving up Jared Allen, because I don't know if they would have to put in Jared Allen this trade. They can maybe work it out with other players or picks because Jared Allen is a very important player to that team, and I think he's better than DeAndre Jordan. I thought he was better this whole season. I think this Drew Holiday should be somebody they can go after because he's kind of that third really good player they could put next to KD and Kyrie, and he doesn't need the ball in his hands. He can do so much else on the floor without having the ball in his hands. So I think Drew Holiday is somebody they should definitely go after, but I wouldn't give up too much for Drew Holiday just because he's an expiring contract, I believe, next year, or this year he's going to be expiring contract, meaning he'll be an unrestricted free agent in 2021. He's getting up there in age, as I think he's like 31, 30, so I would be hesitant to giving up like 3 good assets for Drew Holiday, especially if they're all players. And I don't know, Nicholas Claxton was a high 2nd round pick last year. There's some good praise about him. I wouldn't want to give up Allen and Claxton, I guess is what I'm trying to say, just because you want another center to play with DeAndre Jordan. And if you think Claxton is going to be really good in the NBA, try to keep Claxton. But if you think Claxton might be hit or miss, try to keep Jared Allen and throw a 1st round pick, or throw Musa in that trade, or throw Karooks or somebody else that can get it done. But I wouldn't be opposed to them trying to swap mainly LeVert for Drew Holiday, but throwing in an extra asset or 2. Because, yeah, I would say, yeah, Karis LeVert's 26. He's 5 years younger than Drew Holiday. He's got 3 more years of contract, 3 more years of contract left, and then that's 2 more than Drew Holiday. So I think that's too many assets to give up if you're Brooklyn. Charlotte, Nicholas Batum, and the 32nd overall pick to the Pistons for Blake Griffin. Sure, yeah. I mean, I don't think that's really that bad of a trade. Well, Batum is an expiring contract. He'll be a 2021 free agent. I think Blake is going to be a 2022 free agent. So that's what Charlotte, Yeah, see, maybe that is a whole year. And in 2022, Blake Griffin, I feel like he's not going to be, like, you're not going to get anything out of Blake Griffin, especially not $36.5 million worth out of Blake Griffin. So never mind. You're going to get off of Batum's contract at the end of this year, finally. Just let that go. And you would have to go up the 32nd pick? No, I wouldn't do that if you're Charlotte. It's just unnecessary at that point. And you have PJ Washington, a good young power forward. He's not as good as Blake Griffin, but still, it's not like you have a dire need at the 4. Chicago, this I feel like it's going to be a big one. Zach LaVine and Lauri Markkanen to the Timberwolves for James Johnson, Jared Culver, the #1 overall pick. Whoa! So we're going to send Lauri Markkanen back to the team that technically drafted him. So who does... Is it LaMelo? But I guess... Or maybe they're going up for Anthony Edwards. I don't know. He doesn't mention a prospect. Because, I mean, they have Kobe White. Okay, so I don't... Culver wasn't good this year. I don't know. I don't really like this trade. I don't think it's really worth it. You have the 4th pick. Now, you're probably not going to end up with LaMelo or Anthony Edwards at 4, but I don't think it's worth giving up Zach LaVine and Lauri Markkanen for James Johnson, who's just like a salary filler in this trade. Jared Culver, who was an unproven rookie last year. And yeah, you get the #1 overall pick, but is the #1 overall pick that much valuable than Zach LaVine and Lauri Markkanen? No, this is a bad trade for Chicago. Cleveland, Kevin Love to the Wizards for Thomas Bryant, Ish Smith, Jerome Robinson on the 37th pick. You get Thomas Bryant, who could definitely be a backup center on a good team. You get Ish Smith, just a vet. Jerome Robinson might still have something left in his young NBA career before we label him a bust. I mean, he is a bust for the 13th overall pick. But he didn't look horrible in Washington. But it's still not looking like he's going to be a good player in the NBA. And you get the 37th pick. I think if you're... Honestly... See, like Washington, they don't really need a power forward because they have Bertans and Rui Hachimura is kind of more of a 4. So, like, they kind of need a rim protecting 5, I would say, like a defensive center. So, I don't really think Kevin Love is who they need to go after. I think Cleveland, this might be one of the best offers you get for Kevin Love. You get a top 10 second-round pick. You get a solid young center in Thomas Bryant. You get Jerome Robinson you can maybe do something with. I think that's a good haul for Cleveland because you're not going to get a good haul for Kevin Love. It's just not going to happen. Or you're not going to get multiple first-round picks or young players. But I just don't see the reason for Washington trading for Kevin Love. Dallas, Tim Hardaway Jr., Maxi Kleber, 18 and 31. To the Blazers, CJ McCollum. Okay, so I think if you're Dallas, you have to realize that you want to get that 3rd star, I mentioned it, before Vuka's a free agent in 2022. Now, is it CJ McCollum? Do you think you could do better than CJ McCollum? I think if you think you can, you don't do this trade because you're kind of settling for CJ McCollum, who I believe has like 3 years left on his contract after this year, maybe. I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that. 3 years left on his contract. And you're giving up 2 first-round picks, basically 2 first-round picks. Tim Hardaway Jr., Maxi Kleber. Now, I think actually that's not a bad trade to get CJ McCollum. I think that's actually a pretty good package for Dallas. But if you're Portland, I guess you're getting the 18th overall pick and the 31st overall pick, but you're really going to enjoy Tim Hardaway Jr. I mean, I guess they could use Tim Hardaway Jr. and Maxi Kleber, just get more shooting. But I think they would also want Dorian Finney-Smith in that trade, just a good wing defender, because they desperately need one. You guys saw in my Trailblazers rebuild the other week, I did make a big trade. It was CJ McCollum for OG Anunoby, because I think they could sacrifice to give up one of their scoring guys because they do have Nurkic, they do have Gary Trent Jr., they're going to have top 17 pick in this draft, and you can get a good scoring wing, but mainly for the defensive side of the ball. But after maybe these playoffs, I don't think OG's getting traded whatsoever. But yeah, I don't know if I would do that. It's an interesting one, but I think if you're Dallas, I wouldn't do it if you think you can get somebody better before 2022. And I think if you're Portland, you probably want Dorian Finney-Smith in this trade as well. Moving on to Denver. Yep, this is one I've mentioned. Them going after Bradley Beal. I would like to see them go after maybe Bradley Beal, Buddy Hield, or Drew Holiday. All of them have their own value. Obviously, Buddy Hield won't cost you as much to get as Bradley Beal would. They have Gary Harris, Michael Porter Jr., Monty Morris, the 22nd overall pick for Bradley Beal. Honestly, I would do that. Michael Porter Jr. might be a really good player, but Bradley Beal is a really good player. And I think, you're a good defensive team without Gary Harris. Yes, you would need to probably want to bring back Jeremy Grant and maybe Paul Millsap or still find another good defender. But because your backcourt defensively with Murray and Beal wouldn't be all that good. But still, I think you go after Bradley Beal. It's a championship move, especially if they lose in this round to the Clippers. They did just tie it up last night and they look really good. But I think you make this championship move. If you can do it without Monty Morris, I would say, yeah, that's actually amazing. But if you have to give up that package, I'm willing to do that if I'm Denver. And if you're Washington, hey, you get a first round pick, you get Gary Harris, who can still be something for you. Yeah, he's on not the most reasonable contract for what he's putting up, but it's still not the worst thing in the world. You get Michael Porter Jr., who might be a star in this league if he stays healthy, but I think Denver, it's too much of a risk with MPJ. I think you trade him away because his value might be at an all-time high. Detroit, we got Derrick Rose to the Lakers for Kyle Kuzma and Avery Bradley. I don't know. Is Kyle Kuzma really that... I don't know. Maybe instead of Avery Bradley, you might have to do Avery Bradley to make the money work, but I would also maybe want their 21st round pick in this trade as well. Just because Derrick Rose is really good. I thought should have been on the 6th man of the year ballot, but he didn't make it with the Clippers guys, and Dennis Schroeder and Montrezl Harrell won that. But I mean, Kuzma's like, he's like a good scorer off the bench. That's what he is in his career. And I don't know if you need another like power forward because you have Sekou Doumbouya, you're gonna have Blake Griffin back, you're gonna have Christian Wood. Who knows if they drafted Nneka Okongwu or Obi Toppin or somebody like that. So I don't really know if Kuzma's who they should get. Yeah, you could probably put him at the small forward position, but I would probably want the 30th overall pick or wherever they're selecting in the 2020 draft. Either it's 28, 29, or 30. I would also X for that as well because I think they have to throw in Avery Bradley to make the money work, but I would ask for that first round pick and then maybe throw in a second just to like help them out. But yeah, I would ask for a little bit more if I was Detroit. Golden State, we got Andrew Wiggins, Kevon Mooney, Jordan Poole, and the 2nd overall pick for Ben Simmons and Al Horford. Wow, you were just going into cap freaking hell with that trade, but honestly, I would do that if I was Golden State. I think Andrew Wiggins and the 2nd overall pick is worth enough for Ben Simmons alone in this draft. Hell yeah, I would trade basically James Wiseman and Andrew Wiggins for Ben Simmons, and I guess this would allow Philly to draft LaMelo Ball. I don't think Philly should do this trade because I don't think it's a good enough return. If it was like D'Lo in the 2nd overall pick, yeah, I would do it. But Wiggins, I wouldn't do this if I was Philly. Even though you get off the Al Horford contract, I think Ben Simmons is just so valuable, and you shouldn't give up on Ben Simmons just for that package. So I would say no for Philly. Houston, Eric Gordon for Al Horford. No. I don't even need to discuss that much. You're getting a worse contract. Probably a worse player for that system. They've proven that they're playing fine without a center. Why add an Al Horford who's... I don't know. I just really think that's an unnecessary trade for Houston. Indiana, we got Oladipo to the Heat for none, Robinson, and Olynyk. You're not going to go first round pick in this trade, but honestly, Oladipo, an expiring deal. Who knows if he's going to stay in Indiana. Duncan Robinson has looked damn good in these playoffs. Kendrick Nunn could be definitely a backup point guard on a good team. I would maybe think about this. I don't know if this is like the best package you can get. Maybe I would want a first round pick in this draft as well. Maybe take out, Olynyk's probably going to make the money work, but you maybe ask for the 22nd pick or wherever they have in this draft, and you give them a second. But I'm open to them trading Oladipo. I think this maybe you want a little bit more than this package, but I think it's in the right stratosphere of a return. Clippers, we got Montrezl Harrell signed a trade and Landry Shamet to the Thunder for Steven Adams. No, I wouldn't really want to do this. I would say Montrezl Harrell is just as good as Steven Adams. What I want, you have to throw in Landry Shamet in this? No, I don't really think that. I mean, like, maybe you want a more true center, a better rebounding center, somebody inside that doesn't have to get bullied by Laker big man. But, like, I think Montrezl Harrell has done just a fine job. Obviously, it's not the best thing in the world, but I don't know. Maybe if the Clippers can't win a championship this season, they'll have one more chance at making the ultimate sales pitch before Kawhi and Paul George can enter free agency. That's crazy that they're going to be free agents possibly in 2021. It's just absurd if they decline their player options. Lakers, Kyle Kuzma, Danny Green, and KCP, and Caruso to the Thunder for Chris Paul. I mean, do the Thunder find Kuzma and Caruso that valuable to give up Chris Paul? I think you would also have to throw in the 29th or 28th pick in this draft. And honestly, if I'm the Thunder, I would do that. I think you're getting a first-round pick. You can maybe salvage something out of Kuzma and Caruso. You get off Chris Paul's contract. And I think his value is at an all-time high. OKC. You can move Chris Paul, and what he's done for you, I think he wouldn't be too upset going to LA to play with his friend LeBron and actually like have one LeBron. I don't know why I said LeBron weirdly, but he'll have one last year at competing for an NBA championship. So a lot better of a chance than he would in OKC. So I think if you can get a first round pick in that trade, yeah, I would do that for both sides. So we got Memphis, we got Justice Winslow, Kyle Anderson, and Grayson Allen at the Kings for Buddy Hield. Honestly, I know you like Dylan Brooks, Memphis fans, but I would do this trade. I think Buddy and Ja would be a very nice backcourt. You're starting a shooter next to Ja. I would say also, I thought about like the Oladipo, but I think I would like Hield maybe a little bit more just because he might cost less. Grayson Allen, I would throw him in. Kyle Anderson, boy, yeah, honestly, I think this is a no-brainer for Memphis. Yeah, you do have to pay a little bit of money to Buddy Hield, but are you really signing free agents in Memphis anytime soon? You might, but Buddy Hield might be just a prime chance to get somebody on the table, and he would definitely catapult you into the playoffs next year. I think 100%. So I would definitely do this trade if you're Memphis. If you're Sacramento, I don't know if this is the haul you want for Buddy Hield. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. Miami, we got Bam, Duncan Robinson, Kendrick Nunn, and Kelly Olynyk for Joel Embiid. You're doing just fine with Bam. You're doing just fine with Bam. I wouldn't do this shit. After what we've seen this playoffs, unless they desperately get bullied, well, I mean, Boston doesn't really have a true big that's going to bully them. Toronto might, but no, I wouldn't do this trade. They're doing fine with Bam Adebayo. Like, I would think if Giannis just abused Bam in these playoffs, sure, you maybe think about that, but there's really no reason to do this trade now that Bam is playing all this well, or is playing really well, and they're up 3-0 on the Bucks as the time I'm recording this. Bucks, we got Bledsoe, DiVincenzo, Wilson, Ilyasova in the 24th pick for Chris Paul. Yeah. See, this is so... Okay, this is a little Laker biased, I feel, because, I mean, I guess when you're giving up the 24th pick and Eric Bledsoe and DJ Wilson, I don't know. I feel like throwing DiVincenzo in this is a lot, because DiVincenzo... A lot of Lakers fans won't say this, but DiVincenzo is definitely more valuable in this league than Kyle Kuzma at the moment. So, and you're giving the 24th pick... I don't know. I would maybe try to take out DiVincenzo and throw in another first-round pick for Chris Paul, because I think you should definitely get Chris Paul. I can't stand watching Eric Bledsoe play for this Bucks team in the playoffs. It's just so hard to watch. But I think if you can not throw in DiVincenzo, you 1,000% do this trade if you're Milwaukee. 100,000%. Minnesota, Culver, Johnson, and the number 1 pick to Pacers for Victor Oladipo. Horrible trade. You're not giving up the number 1 overall pick for somebody who's an expiring. Did you not learn with Jimmy Butler? Bleacher Report. Did they not learn with Jimmy Butler? Why would they give up the number 1 overall pick for somebody that's an expiring free agent in 2021? Who knows if he would sign with Minnesota? And who knows if he's the same Oladipo? This is a dumb-ass trade for them. And the 6th overall pick last year, Jared Culver. No, I would say maybe Culver, Johnson, the 17th pick or 15th pick, whatever they have from Brooklyn. And maybe, I don't know, a future 2nd or 1st. Because this right here is it's a bad trade. It's a bad trade for Minnesota. Pelicans, we got Drew Holiday to the Heat for Robinson, Nunn, and Olynyk. I would do this. I think so. You get basically somebody that can replace J.J. Redick and Duncan Robinson. You get a better backup point guard, 2 Lonzo Ball, and Frank Jackson and Kendrick Nunn. I mean, and then this can provide more minutes for Nickeil Alexander-Walker, but I mean, I don't think it's the best return in the world, but I think if in your mind, this might be Drew Holiday's last year in New Orleans, you do this trade. If not, and you want to keep him long-term, this is not the offer to give up on that for. Knicks, Mitchell Robinson in the 8th pick for 2. I mean, I guess you're doing that to get LaMelo Ball, or are you doing that to get James Wiseman? I don't know. I guess, I don't know. I mean... I wouldn't do that for James Wiseman. Now, who knows if he's that much better than Mitchell Robinson, and this would be a great trade, I think, for the Warriors. You're doing this for LaMelo Ball, man. LaMelo Ball has to be, like, the next Steph Curry for you to do this trade. He has to be exactly Trae Young, but I wouldn't do this. You have the most valuable player on the Knicks, and you're giving up your 8th pick for 2. Boy, I wouldn't do that if I was the Knicks. OKC, it's basically the Indiana Pacers trade. I would 100% do this because you're getting a first-round pick and a good young player in DiVincenzo. Imagine DiVincenzo and Lou Dort on the wings next to Shea. That's a great defensive trio, a young defensive trio as well. And I think you 100% do this trade. Like I said, for Milwaukee, I would try to not give up DiVincenzo. But if OKC, if they offer you this, you should 100% accept this. Orlando, we got Vucevic, Alfred Camino to the Warriors for Andrew Wiggins, Poole, and the 2nd overall pick. I don't think Golden State would agree to that, but hell yeah, I would do that trade because, I mean, then you can draft, I don't know. Well, you could draft LaMelo Ball, have LaMelo Ball and Fultz as your point guards. You can actually give Mo Bamba minutes now. Wiggins, I mean, he would be your small forward, but then I think you then end up trading Aaron Gordon as well. Maybe trade Aaron Gordon for a backup center and a pick or something like that. Maybe you can end up getting Nakokongwu for Aaron Gordon. Now I'm spewing out BS, but like I'm trying to think of the reasoning why they wouldn't want to do that trade. So I would 100% do that trade for Orlando. Golden State, I feel like would never accept that. Vucevic is not that valuable. After they said that with Ben Simmons before, and you're gonna hold Ben Simmons and Vucevic to the same value. All right, Bleacher Report. We got Philly. We got Tobias Harris, Josh Richardson to the Kings for Harrison Barnes and Buddy Hield. I think you do that. If you could somehow give Al Horford to the Kings, you definitely do that a little bit more. But I think you do this trade because you get better shooting. Barnes isn't that much of a worse player or isn't as much of a superior player than Tobias Harris, I think. But getting Buddy Hield and that shooting is huge for them because they're good enough defensively with Embiid, with Horford, with Thibault, with Simmons. They have good defenders on the team, so losing Richardson isn't the end of the world. And I think getting Hield shooting is pretty big for them. Phoenix, we got Oubre and Ty Jerome to the Magic for Aaron Gordon. I wouldn't think you would have to give up Ty Jerome in this trade. I feel like that is an unnecessary throw-in. I mean, yeah, if you think Bridges can be that small forward, or you draft a Devin Vassell or Patrick Williams or somebody you like enough at the 3, and then you're willing enough to trade Kelly Oubre, yeah, you can do that, and you have Cam Johnson as well. So I'm open to the discussion of that trade, but I know Phoenix really likes Kelly Oubre. Portland, McCollum, Anthony Simons, 16 and 2022 first-round pick to the Sixers for Ben Simmons. I'd do that trade if I was Portland. I would 100% do that trade if I was Portland. I don't think Philly would accept that offer, though. I just don't think they would. I don't think they're ready to blow it up. Kings, Hield for LaMarcus Aldridge and Lonnie Walker. Honestly, that's not a terrible trade for Sacramento just because I think Lonnie Walker was coming alive in the end of the bubble. And you might want to trade for him. Like, why not? Like, if you're going to move Buddy Hield anyway, I don't know how high his value is. I wouldn't mind doing that. And I guess Aldridge could just be a nice mentor to Marvin Bagley, which could be huge. So it's not a terrible idea just to throw out there and start discussing. I don't know if San Antonio would want to do that. They could if they like Buddy. San Antonio, Aldridge and Derek White to the Nets for Karis LeVert, Jared Allen, Torrey Prince in the 19th overall pick. Brooklyn would never accept that. That is way too much in a return for LaMarcus Aldridge, who's in the final year of his deal. He's 35, 36 years old. So basically, I think LaMarcus Aldridge, you could maybe get a high second-round pick for him, and that's it. That's it. But also giving up, I mean, Derek White is a good young player as well. Good defender. He's a good shooter as well. He's a nice 3-and-D too, but he's never going to average 20 points in this league. And you're getting somebody who probably will in Karis LeVert. Jared Allen, who might be more valuable than LaMarcus Aldridge right now. Torrey Prince, all right, make the money work. And the 19th overall pick, yeah, you do this if you're San Antonio, but why would Sean Marks ever agree to this trade unless Greg Popovich is also included in this? If you do Greg Pop, Aldridge, and White for those 4 assets, yeah, then maybe. Toronto, Fred VanVleet signed a trade for Oladipo. It's an interesting idea because you're getting... Okay, now if you're Indiana, this isn't a bad idea because you get a good scoring point guard and you can move Brogdon back to the shooting guard position where he did play in Milwaukee. So honestly, that's not a crazy idea. And so if you were going to lose VanVleet anyway, why not get Oladipo? You still have 2021 cap space because Oladipo's a free agent in 2021. So you can have Lowry, you'll have Oladipo, you'll have Powell, you'll have Anunoby, you'll have Terrence Davis still. I think that's actually kind of a smart idea if you're Toronto and you realize you're going to lose Fred VanVleet. You're not going to pay him the money he wants. You do the sign and trade. And you still, like, Oladipo is going to be free agent in 2021. If you strike out on a Giannis or a Kawhi Leonard, like, you know what I'm saying, you can bring back Oladipo. But hey, honestly, I think that's not a bad idea. I actually don't think that's a bad idea for Toronto. Utah, we got Gobert, the 23rd overall pick for Embiid. I mean, hell yeah. Why wouldn't you do that? But why the hell would Philly even pick up the phone with that offer? This doesn't make Philly any better. It doesn't. I mean, if you had the number 3 overall pick, maybe, or 5 or 7, but 23, I mean, Rudy Gobert is great, but Embiid is better, and the 23rd pick wouldn't sway you giving up the 3rd or 4th best center in the NBA for arguably the best center in the NBA. So that's a dumb one. So Washington, it's our last one, I believe. Beal for Hero. Duncan Robinson, none, and Olynyk. I also want a first-round pick in this trade, but if they'll do that, yeah, I would accept this because I think Hero, Robinson, none, they're all legit good NBA players. Hero definitely has the most star potential out of those, and I think I'd rather have Hero over Porter Jr. just because of health concerns, and if you can get a first-round pick in this trade, I would do that. So, yeah, that is going to wrap up one blockbuster trade idea for every NBA team. This is a hard article to make, so obviously there's going to be some dumb trades in here, but shout out to Bleacher Report for this. I'll leave a link to the article in the description. Drop a like if you guys want to see more videos like this in the future. Thank you all for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys next video. Peace.